Hi everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to properly light and trim your wooden wick candle. Of course, it all depends on the brand and their recommendations. This particular brand recommends 1/4 of an inch. And if you see right here, this one is just a wooden wick slab, and I believe it has a booster. So lighting the X wicks from the woodwick brand might be a little bit easier. But a common mistake, if you can see right here, the wick might appear a little bit short, but this is actually a bit too long. So what happens is that if I were to try to light this, let me go ahead and show you, it'll probably extinguish itself. So let me go ahead and get my lighter. So normally what people would do is that they would just try to light the top part of the candle instead of the bottom part. So I'm going to leave it lit up right there, and we'll see if it actually stays lit, because since it's a little bit long, what tends to happen is if the wooden wick isn't trimmed properly enough, after maybe about a minute or so, the flame will extinguish. And normally that happens when the wick isn't short enough. So what happens is that a lot of people think that having a longer wick will cause the flame to get larger and brighter and just burn more properly. But it's actually the opposite. Is if you have the wick a little bit too long, it's going to cause excess sooting, and it's also probably going to self-extinguish itself in a little bit. So right now you can kind of see it's extinguishing itself, and more likely than not, that's caused by the length of the wick. Also, if it's not trimmed at a proper length, what happens is that the flame can get very, very dim. So you can see right here, let me go ahead and move the angle, and you'll kind of see what's happening. Basically, it's just struggling to stay on. All right, so here's an overhead view. The flame is very, very small, which normally for this brand, it doesn't have the biggest flame, but it's a lot larger than this. So I'm going to go ahead and show you which type of lighter I personally prefer to use on these types of wooden wick candles. So this is an electric lighter, and the problem with this is that this works better with a cotton wick or cotton wick type candles. So I have one from Bath and Body Works. So this one, it's really easy to light this up, because normally with cotton wicks, what people do is that they light the candle from the top part of the wick, and you are easily able to light up the candle. So instead, I personally like using these types of lighters with wooden wick candles, because essentially what you have to do, let me go ahead and blow out this candle. Essentially what you have to do with these types of candles is that you have to kind of hit it where the wax meets the wick instead of the top part. So if I were to get the electric lighter, this one's a little bit powerful. So what ends up happening is that some of the top part gets a little bit charred. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this, and you can kind of see the difference. So with wooden wick candles, I don't really like using these types of clunky candle trimmers or wick trimmers. And the reason is because I don't have the best accurate, precision when I'm trying to only trim off a little bit. So you can either use nail clippers, your hands, or maybe just a piece of tissue paper. So for me, I just use my hands, and I rinse afterwards, and that pretty much solves the issue. But okay, here is my wick. So I'm just going to trim off a little bit, and I'm just going to pull. So here's how my wooden wick looks like after a little trim. You might be thinking, wow, that's pretty short. How will it stay lit? But that's just the nature of wooden wick candles. So again, if I were to try to use it with my electric lighter, it might be a little bit hard, because normally these work better if you light on top of the wick. But again, for wooden wick candles, you really should be aiming at the part where the wax meets the wick. So I'm going to turn this on. And normally it takes a little bit of time for the flame and the wick to kind of like really kick in. Okay, so I personally always like to kind of tilt my candle one way and then tilt my candle the other way. So if you, for example, already trimmed your wick and you've already lit it and it continues to turn off, it could be that you just need to trim your candle a little bit more. But for example, if it's already at that recommended length that the candle manufacturer or maker states, then I would say just try to blast it with this type of a lighter, because you really want to make sure that the flame adheres to the wick. And that will be, again, the part where the wax meets the flame. So I'm going to go ahead and show you an overhead view, because this flame is well established. All right, so here's an overhead view of my crackling wooden wick candle, which you might hear in the background. So this is how a healthy flame is supposed to look like. It's well established. It's not puny. It's not deading out. And when I lit it up, there wasn't an excess amount of soot emitting because the wick was too long. So this is how it should look like. Again, if you do light your candle, make sure that it fully pulls out. If not, it's going to cause tunneling. But yeah, this was just a quick overview of how to light a candle. And if your flame is very puny, very weak, and it kind of extinguishes itself, most likely than not, the problem is that you need to trim it again and light it up. Again, I recommend not to use those wooden wick trimmers that are a little bit bulky, and I would recommend for you to use just the lighter instead of an electric lighter. I feel like those work better. And if you don't have an electric lighter, I feel like it'd be best to use a match. Again, let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great day. Okay, bye.